Hello YouTube, and welcome to my channel, which is Climbinator 1978 or 1978, whichever way you want to pronounce it. I'll just get some light in my room for today's reviews. Now I'm doing this now on my little tripod that I've got, okay, because that's what I bought today. But that's not a review, that's not going to be reviewed today. What I'm going to do is another triple review for you, and that is the Olympus Has Fallen trilogy starring Gerard Butler. So I'm going to get right to it. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Olympus Has Fallen trilogy is basically a die-hard rip-off style of films starring Gerard Butler. And I'm going to get straight to them, okay? The first one, clear as in the title, is Olympus Has Fallen. Now, in this, Gerard Butler plays a Secret Service geezer called Mike Banning, and at the beginning of the film, Mike Banning experiences a personal tragedy involving the president and the president's wife, and it's a memorable scene, but Mike Banning has to literally put all of his bad experience behind him when the main plot kicks into the film, and that is where these Korean terrorists basically take over the White House and force the president down into his bunker beneath the White House. It basically is the same old crap that they churned out in 1997 in Air Force One, but the difference being is that in Air Force One it was obviously on a plane and the president fought back. This time it's now in a bunker, and it's a Secret Service man called Mike Banning fighting back. The action is slick, the special effects are pretty good, and it's ballsy. It is just flat out ballsy all the way throughout the film. If you're looking for, you know, a film to just whet your appetite with all out action, woo! This is literally the best one since Die Hard. I could say Sudden Impact is another, not Sudden Impact, Sudden Death, starring Van Damme, Jean-Claude Van Damme, is another one. But this one is definitely the best Die Hard clone. I won't go into too much of the plot for it, because it gets into kind of like spoilery territory. But what makes it stand out is that all of the co-starring characters actually have their own individual personalities. There's intensity, suspense, and, you know, the White House itself becomes its own character. And I can proudly say that my hometown shares a link with the White House. My hometown actually built the Resolute desk. But yes, this is balls to the wall action. It does not disappoint. It is a solid 9 out of 10 from me, which is more than I can say for the sequel. Oh boy, London Has Fallen. Now do bear in mind, this was released just a few months after the Paris attacks in real life. It was actually filmed before those attacks. However, this film is flat out offensive. It is cheaply made, despite being a sequel to Olympus and having a massive budget. It just looks so cheap that the effects would be an embarrassment to the Sci-Fi Channel. I watched this the other day to prepare to review, and it's one of those films where, and I'm not meaning to sound like I'm being racist, because I'm not a racist guy, but it's one of those films where if you're a white Caucasian person in this film, you're a good guy. If you're somewhat mixed race or Middle Eastern, then you're either going to be relocated to 1 or 2 lines or only a few lines for good guys, or you're more than likely going to be a bad guy, and I mean uber bad, because every character in this is a stereotype. You got Mike Banning, who was a badass type in Olympus, but he was a badass doing his job, and he had emotions. In this, he's a psychopath. A complete and utter psychopath who actually enjoys killing people. And half of the civilians who get killed in the main siege are caused by Mike's actions, I would say. Some of them, at least. I was like, when I watched this the other day, I thought, did Mike just do that? And the script is so awful that when Mike gets to the finale, he starts beating and punching the bad guy, and you want him to win, of course. But he actually has the bad guy held by the collar at one point. He's punching and kicking him, and he actually says lines like, "You guys don't get it, do you? Boof! We are not a plane. Boof! We are not a building. Boof! But we're going to be here in 1,000 years to take you guys on furthermore." Yeah, that is how offensive this film gets. This film is just awful. It is literally one of the worst films I have ever seen. And it's no wonder it gets 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 1 out of 10 on IMDb a lot of the time. It's like saying if you've seen the first 2 Ghostbuster films and, you know, you went in to watch the 2016 Ghostbuster film reboot with great anticipation, and then you saw that product. I'm talking about past experience here. Not that I didn't enjoy the cast, but the writing for that was just... Anyway, this is getting a 1 out of 10 from me. It's going in the Dungeon of Doom. Which leads me to the final instalment in the Fallen Trilogy. Angel Has Fallen. Now, I've just watched this for like the 3rd time. And I will admit, I forgot how good, or at least how much of an improvement this was over the second film. Gerard Butler compared this to Logan, you know, the third Wolverine film, and I could see elements of it in this. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's watchable, and it's definitely a step back towards the original film. It's more character driven than the previous two installments, in that you see that Mike Banning is now more aged and he's having more health problems. Anyway, the plot with this film is that Mike has been through the terror attacks of the White House and also London, and this time he is framed for an assassination attempt on the president. He now has to clear his name against the terrorists and also the FBI. You got an all-star cast from Gerard Butler and Morgan Freeman to Yada Pinkett Smith and Tim Blake Nelson. You've even got Nick Nolte in this, who, you know, sounds like a creepy old wizard as Mike's dad. And he also kind of looks like Father Jack from Father Ted. Yeah, the very thought of Father Jack taking on American bad guys in one of these die-hard type of films is quite unique. I can just imagine, you know, you've got one of these terrorist types going up to, you know, Father Jack, and they're saying something like, "Hand Mike Banning over now," to this old man, and the old man replies with, "Fuck off." Yes, it's more of a character-driven film compared to the other two, and it's definitely better than number 2. I would give this one a 7 out of 10. On the whole, the trilogy isn't the best trilogy out there, and it's in fact probably one of the least better trilogies out there. But there are worse films I could watch, like He Who Dares and He Who Dares Downing Street Siege. Trust me, if you want to watch an action film that is so bad it's funny, you want to watch that. Oh yeah. He Who Dares and He Who Dares Downing Street Siege. So bad, they are funny. I will one day review them on here. Probably this week, actually. So be sure to stay tuned. And that actually concludes my review for this. Yeah, if you like die-hard style films, definitely get these, but be warned, the second film is really offensive. Once again, thank you for watching, and be sure to subscribe to my channel or like my videos, and I hope you enjoy.